What up? What up? What up, y'all? You now tapped in with the Stamper Podcast, episode 23, episode MJ. You feel me?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, one day at a time, y'all. One day at a time. But I'm very excited today because I got someone who I highly respect, someone who's been killing the content game and also killing the rental car space game as well. So it's been long anticipated. I've been waiting to sit down and talk to you for a minute ever since we first got connected on live through Don, and it's been on ever since. Also a member of the mastermind as well. You know what I'm saying? So I got none other than Brandi. What's popping?
What's good, Ray? I appreciate you for having me on your podcast. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's an honor. Oh, I should have said also known as Pink Slip Brandi, y'all, but we're gonna get into that later on as well.
That's your name. You coined that name. Nobody else ain't say that. When you saw that, you was like Pink Slip Brandi. I'm like, yo. Yeah, look, I always got him on me. Always got him on me.
Yeah, let him know. Let him know. Yeah,
Pink Slips, I got him on me.
Yeah, that part though. Yeah. I appreciate you for jumping on today. Yeah, I definitely wanted to sit down with you because, like I said, we want folks to be more tapped in with you. I just want to we're gonna dive a little bit into who you are, just your background, how'd you get into the rental car game, and hopefully the folks, not hopefully, I know the folks gonna pick up the gems. They're gonna get some value from this conversation. So just starting out, just tell the folks a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what is it that you do.
So, my name is Brandi Hayes, like Ray said, and who I am, right now I'm an entrepreneur, making it out here. But before, I worked a 9 to 5, dabbled and dabbled in a lot of stuff, real estate, vending, all that. But, I bucked up on the rental car, and it just, I found it, got it, like realized it, and then it took me like a year to actually for something to click for me. And then after that, like a year and a half, something clicked. And then I was like, man, that's how I'm gonna do it. And I just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. Now I know you mentioned a couple of things. You was in the real estate game, and you also did a little bit of vending game. Man, I can tell you about my story in the vending game. Man.
The vending game vicious.
Man, it's very vicious, y'all. Yeah, the vending game is cool. It's cool. It's all about the kind of machines that you have, right? And it's depending on the machines you got and the locations that you have, right? So when I first got into the game, I got lucky. I got a hotel. That was my very first location.
Dang.
Man. So that thing, hotels 24/7, don't sleep, right? Had that account for about a year, and then after that, it was just boom, 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 just done. Just done. Each account after that, it just wasn't working out. The machines was falling apart. So I was like, you know what? It's time to exit, right? So let's talk about what was your experience like in that game.
So in the vending game, it was my experience has been a little bit different. And actually I'm still in it. I don't know if you're still in it, but I'm still in it. But the reason why my experience was a little bit different is because while I started, it was just to teach my son, who was at the time, he was 9 years old. Yep. I wanted to teach him financial literacy because at that time, like you said, I was in real estate, like I'm investing in real estate, wholesaling, flipping, like doing all of that. Yep. And I was learning it myself. So my mind was being open to a lot of new things at that point. And I'm just like, I'm 30, I'm probably 30, 35 at the time, whatever. And I'm just learning a lot of this stuff at that age. So I'm just like, what if I could teach my son at his age this stuff, but in a way that he can understand it? So, I learned about the vending industry or whatever. And it was just like, candy vending, like it wasn't like the full line vending like you do. Yeah. It was like, the quarter machines or whatever, like 3 heads, quarter machines. So instead of buying his birthday was coming around. And instead of buying him like a game, a system, where we always do some sneakers, whatever, I decided to buy him a vending machine. So I bought him a vending machine. It was 2 in a pack. I bought him 2 of them. We start talking about different things about, how this is gonna work, how will he work it, what he's gonna do. And we kind of had like a conversation. And in those conversations, I realized that, once I started to actually have conversations with my son and explain it in a way that he could understand it, like assets, liabilities, things like that, It was like he understood it. And then he started to have conversation with me at 9 years old. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? But you know what I mean? I just kept it rolling. So for that, we just, we ran with it. And at this point, like he 10 machines in, he runs it. And like at one point I was going to stop it because I was just like, I'm running around with him. I'm doing this like, cause he, now he's 13, but it's like, yeah, I'm running around, like I got other stuff to do, X, Y, Z. But I talked to him and my dad was like, well, shoot, that'll give me something for me and him to, kind of bond on. So I'll go out with him on the weekends and things like that. So I kind of like relinquished it to them. So he's still in the game. When he turned 12, he purchased the full line vending machines, 2 of them. Well, 4. He has 4 full line vending machines. He turned 12. He said he wanted to do it, so I let him do it. And like I said, I didn't want to keep running around with him with the vending. So I was just like, when I talked to my son, I was like, man, I think we got to stop. And I talked to my dad, I talked to him together. He was like, man, get him with me. We gonna do it together. This is something we can bond on and keep going or whatever. So that's kind of where I was at in the vending space.
That's dope. And that's dope that you wanted to start him off early. It's usually when we wait till our kids, it's wait till, I know from my experience, it wasn't until I got over 21 where it's like, you start to have these ideas of business ideas and venturing in entrepreneurship. So you start them off early. So by the time you get to our age, you're gonna be
it's over.
It's gonna be a wrap from there.
It's over. But not only that, Stamp, what I could say about that too is like it was the other side of it was I understood what I was doing myself. Like I understood that I was getting into like businesses and things like that. And I was gonna start making money. I was gonna, be wealthy. I'm gonna be wealthy, right? I know this. So he's my only child. So I'm like, okay, if I know all this stuff and I'm learning it the way that I'm learning, I need to teach him this stuff. I need to have him at those closing tables. I need to have him at the houses when we rehab it so he can see this thing. I need to have him running his own vending business and he can, he got a notepad that he write his numbers in. So like I can't scam him on the money that come out of his machines and stuff, right? Nice. But I needed him to see that and to actually do it and be active in it because it just made it better because I'm just like, yo, once I go, I know this is my only child. It's gonna go to him in some sort of way. So if he don't understand how to like take care of it, then it's gonna be gone when I'm gone. So like that generational wealth thing that we talk about, we can't keep saying generational wealth and not teaching these kids how to like work how we working and do what we doing. You feel me? Like I look at when we come from in the hood, you go to the corner store and it's like the kids are in there serving you and they behind the counter taking your money, in the corner store. So I look at it like that. It's like, but then you go to that corner store so much, eventually that kid is an adult. Right. You get what I'm saying? So it's just different.
It's different. And then the skills that you build in at that age as well. Like, for example, there's a restaurant out here. It's a family restaurant. And I used to be a part of this business networking group and we would do our meetings there, right? And around lunchtime, that's obviously what the most busiest time, right? And at the cash register, is this 11-year-old kid who's taking everybody orders, and while I don't know if his parents or his older sisters and brothers, they cooking the food, and he's over there taking the orders, right? So just imagine what that's going to do for him by the time he gets 18, he gets to 21, he damn near going to be running the place.
Absolutely, man. That's just what it is.
Definitely.
That's what it is.
So let's talk about your real estate journey. I know previously you mentioned before you got into the wholesaling game. And that's enough. So talk about that journey. What led you into the real estate space?
So what led me into the real estate space? The real estate was like that was like my first like step out into like entrepreneurship while having a job, a 9 to 5. And what led me to real estate and this whole journey in itself, if you will, was my mom. Like I wasn't living with my mom at the time. I was, on my own, had my child, and me and my son father was together, whatever the case may be. But my mom found out she had cancer. So me, we was going through what we was going through. But anyway, it comes down to now I gotta figure out like, am I gonna get my own spot with my child, or will I go home with my mom and like help her and take care of her? Because of course I'm talking to her on the phone. We talk every day, and she, she good. She telling me like, yeah, everything good, this and the third. But then like when I come to like when I actually came to like live with her, like stay with her, I would see what her situation looked like. And it didn't look like what she was telling me, which was like, she would go get chemo and she would be down for like 4 days. She wasn't eating, she wasn't drinking, she was just in the bed. She couldn't get herself up. And then like the day of her chemo, she's all right. And then she could go get chemo, but then she down again. So she wasn't doing good. And then she, you know what I mean, I wound up being my mother's caregiver. So I was caring for her, taking care of her and stuff like that. I ain't had nobody else to like help me care for her, but I was caring for her. And then, you know, she passed away. So my mom passed away, she was 51 years old. And she went from a vibrant, super vibrant person, you know, to like this, like basically like a vegetable in front of my eyes over a matter of like months. And I'm just like, bro, that's crazy. Like how, like what? Like I couldn't believe it. But I was cleaning out her room. Like I was always thinking about real estate because my mom, she always used to like drive around and say stuff like, oh, what if we got this house and fix it up just, like, as a family and stuff, like she would do that. But like the family and the friends and stuff, they wasn't with it. Like it was like they didn't see what she saw. But she was like, we could do this, right? So I never knew why she was saying this, whatever. But when she passed away, I was cleaning out her room. When I cleaned out her room, I found like a collection of books. And it was the books from like, and DVDs. And it was like Carlton Sheets. Now, I don't know if anybody know Carlton Sheets, but Carlton Sheets is the originator of promoting real estate. Like, you know what I mean? No money down, you know, whatever, all that. And he used to be on the infomercials at night. Like, you know what I mean? You wake up at night and he yelling at you like that type of dude, right? So she apparently had bought this course. And I'm like, yo, I never even do this, right? And I started looking through it and stuff. And I'm like, yo, I could do something. So I just told my little brother, I'm like, yo, I'm about to start trying to get into real estate. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I gotta do something because I can't be doing this forever, right? And before my mom passed, I just told her like, I don't want to be working for people forever. And she was just like, you know, do what you want to do. Because my mom was an entrepreneur for over 20 years, 25 years. And after that, I was going to, you know, conferences, you know, go in the bag, pay this, pay for the 3-day session and all that. And I'm paying for it. I'm going on and on. But they wanted me to pay like 50,000. And I'm like, yo, I don't got nothing. All I got is this house. And like, it's debt. Like, you know what I mean? I pay a mortgage every month. My mom got this house, but I pay a mortgage. So I just basically was like, you know, I'm writing like notes like crazy. So the man said something at one of the things and he was like, you know, wholesaler. He explained the process, but then he kind of went to something else. So I told my brother, I said, well, we want to check out this wholesaling thing, like see what that about. And he was like, all right. So we started to do that, and like our first deal, we made 40,000, and it was just off of being active, like not being like, oh, I gotta figure out this, I gotta figure out that. For a while, we did that, but then it was just like, man, I see the process, I see the steps they going through. I just need to do those steps to get to the end, and that's where it took us to. So yeah, we just was like flipping real estate. I always knew that I wanted to hold the properties though, because it was just like, you know, it's more holding them than like giving them away to people. And that's just that residual income, you feel me? So I wound up buying a house for cash, fixing it up myself. And I had a tenant, my tenant been in there for 3 years now. I ain't had no issue.
Word.
Yeah, 3 years. And I got him during the pandemic when everybody was like, oh, you can't be around people, you can't go in those spaces and that. And I had an open house for my joint in the hood. Like I was like, got the balloons. I'm like, you gonna do open house? Y'all did an open house. My aunt like, why is you doing all that? Just find somebody. I said, I want to find the right person though. I don't want to just find anybody to get in my house. I'm like, cause I didn't this thing. When I tell you it's a brand new house, like I put everything new in this house, like the pipe, the plumbing, the water. You know what I mean? The heating, the floors, the walls, like I gutted the whole house. So I'm like, I don't want anybody to just jump here because if anything, I'll move in here. Like it's a free house. Like, so he was like, man, you got, but I did an open house. I got the right person with the right family in there, and they've been in there ever since. They ain't stopped paying.
That's dope. That's dope. Even when you ain't working, you still waking up to that mailbox money. You don't get no better.
Absolutely, man. That mailbox money different, especially when you cashed out. That profit crazy.
That's dope. So now that you're going over your journey in regards to the real estate game and the vending game. Now, before I move on, now was anybody like? Did you come from a background of entrepreneurs, or is this or it just pretty much just started with you?
So I would say, like, I didn't come from a background of entrepreneurs. Like, well, kind of, sort of. My grandma, she was an entrepreneur because she never, like, she came from that era where she didn't work, her husband worked, and she didn't have to work. Like, so my pop, he didn't allow my grandma to work. So he told her job was in the house with the kids, you know what I mean, making sure food hot when he came home, stuff like that. That was her job. So she stayed home all day, and she was a good cook. We from the South, so that's what she did, you know what I mean? But she would, when my grandfather passed away, she actually would sell dinners to people. Like, so she would sell dinners at the house, and then she would take the dinners, pack them in, and she realized like the late night crowd was like the better crowd, right? So she found like she got these coolers. She used to make her dinners, pack them up in the cooler, in the styrofoam plates, pack them up, had a cooler for drinks on the other side, and she would drive her van to the bars. So the owners of the bars knew her. So they would she would drive her van to the bars at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That the let out when everybody trying to go to the little spot to get something to eat because they didn't drink too much. She right outside. So you come outside, she's like, well, she got dinners like macaroni and cheese, like that. They going on. So my grandma did that for a long time. She was the icy lady in the hood, like, you know what I mean? Like, you want icy, she had a freezer dedicated to just ices, like quarters. She had quarters, boy. Then my mom, like, she was working 9 to 5, like she had worked like 2, 3 jobs at a time, to where it's like my grandma was home with us. Like, we was like, my mom always had a house where like my grandma could stay with us. Because by this time my papa had passed on, so we had to take care of my grandma. So we always stayed in the house with my grandma, and she would watch us. Like, she was our mom at home, like cook. We had meals when we came home from school for lunch, like hot meals, you know what I mean? Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we was good. Like, and my mom was just working, so she worked 2 or 3 jobs. So my mom was like dad. So like when we was getting in trouble at home, my grandma was like, my mom would call home, and she was like, yeah, you know, Nick was doing this, or my brother or Brandi was doing that. And she'd be like, when I get home, I'm gonna do this. So she was like dad, like out there working, grandma was in the house. So I had kind of like the best of both worlds, but then like something clicked for my mom, and then she was just like, bro, I just need to do something for myself. So she wound up becoming a daycare provider, and she started to provide daycare services to people. So for over 25 years, that's what she did, and like she never looked back to another job or nothing. Like, that's what she did. So like entrepreneur, I would say like, yeah, it's in me. It's always been in me. It's just like something that I just recently started to tap into.
Yeah. That's dope. Shout out to grandma. Shout out to mom.
You got big mama. We need big mamas, man.
Nah, we don't got them anymore, man.
Man, it's crazy. I say to myself, I got the
foundation too.
Yeah. I always say I got the best of both worlds when it comes to that, because like as a female, like now with the way that, you know what I mean, and I don't want to take it off, but the way that the world is going right now with like how men and women look at each other and how we look like, oh, you gotta have this to do that, you gotta have whatever. I had the best of both worlds, as to where I saw my grandmother as a home, like a housewife, you know, cooking, cleaning, you know, I saw that, and she taught it to me. So like I always had to clean up, I always had to, you know what I mean, cook something. I always had to, like, I was that girl, and I was the only girl. I got brothers, so I was the only girl. So I was forced to do this stuff, cleaning baseboards, all that, right? Yeah. And like seeing like a husband and a wife together and communicating and seeing that dynamic. And then I got the world of like my mom, who, you know, she was with my dad for a while, but then eventually they broke up. And then it was like she was a single mom, and she was doing everything by herself. So I know what both sides look like, and I like my grandma's side better.
That part.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yo, that's dope, man. That's super dope. Yeah, that stuff is not really, it's not discussed enough, the importance of, like I said, marriage and relationships. You know, how, like I said, we always got, you know, folks these days, especially on the Twitter conversations, you got to have these defined roles or who needs to do what. You know what?
For real.
In a lot of those conversations, those folks don't even be married. Don't even know what the hell they be talking about.
They don't even be in relationships. Like, if you're in a real relationship, like, you wouldn't talk like that. Most of these people that's talking like this are not really in real relationships. They're just with people just to say, I got somebody. But you're single. You know what I'm saying? You're single. But if you're in a real relationship, like, you ain't talking like that. You don't even believe none of that. Right. You don't believe it.
Right. Just talking, just to be talking for social media.
Absolutely.
Right? So now we're going into your background. Let's get into that conversation about these rental cars, because I know you out here building the fleet, building an empire. So talk about that first experience. What was that? How did you get your first rental car? How did you even find out about this industry?
So I found out about this industry through, like, I actually saw somebody online, you know, talking about it. And it was on YouTube. That was my first like hit of it. Like, oh, you know what I mean? It was a female, she was talking about it on YouTube. And then I was on Instagram, of course, and like I seen somebody actually had a course for it. So I'm just like, I was kind of like, you know, I was interested, you know what I mean, curious, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm doing real estate, I'm doing this, I ain't got time for that or whatever. But they was running the sale, so I was just like, man, let me grab this course and like I'll put it to the side, but like I'll get to it. So that's kind of how I was initially introduced to it. But once I went through the whole, you know, course and stuff like that, it was just like I saw like the way that they were positioning it. The position was, you know, go to the dealer, finance a vehicle for, you know, $30,000 or whatever it may be, get that vehicle up and get it rolling, and now you're making money, right? Yeah. But for me at the time, I was just looking at it like, man, I'm in real estate. Yeah, credit is good because I use credit in my real estate business. I use credit, you know what I mean, every day, right? But I don't want to use this credit on no vehicle, you know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, to me, I'm always going to say that a vehicle is a liability because it won't last me 30, 40 years, right? So I'm like, I don't know. And then I don't want to use my credit to be putting on this vehicle. So I just was like, I sat on it for like a year and a half. Like, I ain't doing that. I'm, you know what I mean? Back to my real estate. I'm doing my thing, right? Yep. And then eventually, like, something came up and I'm like, man, let me see what this is about. Because at this time, I'm still at work. But I need to get some type of, you know, some more money to come in. Everybody trying to get more money. So I'm like, I looked at it again, and then I was like, let me check the actual site of the platform that I want to go on to use, right? So when I went on their site, on that platform, I checked the criteria of like, what type of vehicle do I need to put on here? So when I looked at the criteria, I'm like, yo, the criteria don't call for a $40,000 vehicle. And it don't call for me to have a $500 or a $700 car payment. Like that something ain't, you know what I mean? Something ain't click. So at that point, I'm like, man, listen, let me check out this situation and see how I can do it like the way I think I could be able to do it after seeing their criteria. So I actually reached out to somebody that I knew that was like it was a friend of a friend, and he had a dealer's license, but I found out later that he had it through somebody else. So like he was using somebody else's situation to get it, whatever. So my first vehicle was through him, and it was $5,000. It was a $5,000 vehicle, and it had like I think like 80,000 miles on it. It was like like 80,000 miles on it. And like it was a pretty decent vehicle. Like it ain't really need nothing, you know what I mean? Not like that, not nothing major. It was just like brakes and stuff like that. So I was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna test my hand at it. Yeah. So I did what I did, took my pictures, threw it up, and I had my first hit. I'm like, wait, what? Like people want this vehicle? Like I thought people wanted like new vehicles. So I got that, and like it was on from there. Once I saw that, I was just like, man, what? I started perfecting the way I did my thing, like the way I position myself in the marketplace and how I, ran my business and stuff. And like, that's why I say start with one, because when you start with that one, it's like you get to perfect your process during that time. You know what I mean? It's not a situation of, you got 5 vehicles at one time and you dealing with 5 different people, because let's be clear, the customer is not the vehicle. The customer is the people that's driving your vehicle. So if you got 5 different personalities calling you at one time or reaching out to you at one time because something going on with your vehicle or, whatever that situation could be, that could be frustrating. And it's like, I'm at work, you know what I mean? I can't and when you can't get right back to a person, they be feeling away. So I was just like, nah, I can't do that. So I started to perfect my process and getting and having my processes and, SOPs and stuff like that, standard operating procedures, putting that all in, laying it all out to where it's like, okay, now I could kind of walk away and let this thing work on its own, right? And that's kind of how I went. And my first rental was a month-long rental. And that's what really, that's when it really clicked, like, what? Like a whole month you join? This don't fit. At the time, it was like, I think it was $50 a day. Yeah. I had put this car up, and for a whole month, they took it, like, gone. And I got paid. The good thing about it is that when they initially did it for the month, you get paid that whole month. The 24 to 48 hours, it go right into your account. So then after that month is over, they get the option to, renew, like, go forward or to give it back. Yeah. And this person decided to give it back. But then, like, when it came back, it was regular. Like, gas was in there. It was clean. Like, it wasn't really nothing crazy. So I'm like, all I need to do is vacuum it a little bit and throw it back up. 5-month rental. What? I'm like, yo. So that's when I just started to say, like, yo, I need more cars.
Right. That part. Sorry, rented your car for 5 months?
5 months, bro. 5 months. And the only reason that it came back, and that was one of my cars. The one that was rented for 5 months was I had got that for $3,400. And she rented it for 5 months. And the only reason she brought it back was because it was like she had got into an accident, like, and she told me about it. She reached out to me, she told me whatever. And I'm like keeping in contact with her. She told me, so I was like, yo, if you want, like, cause with the platform, what they do is like they give you the option to bring the vehicle back. Like if there's any damage or something like that, you could bring it back to the person. And if they got another car, they could swap you into another car. Or if they don't have another car, then you just have to go to another, situation, like somebody else, for somebody else. But when she told me, I was like, well, listen, if you want to take it back, if you want to give it back, you can. What I just do is like, at that time I didn't have another vehicle to swap her out, but I said, you can bring it back. She was like, nah, it's good. I don't got to bring it back. It's cool. Like, I'm good. So I was like, but just send me pictures of it, so I can know what's going on. So when she sent me the pictures, I'm like, bro, like, I would not be driving that. I'm like, but if she want to drive it, like, it is what it is, right? But she kept it for a month, another month, and then like something happened to the front because she got hit. So something happened to the front, and she had to give it back. So when it came back, I was just like, dang. All I did, took my pictures, sent them up, put my claim in. They cashed me out, and because my car is a cash, and I got all my titles, those checks come straight to me. And I was able to go ahead and, get my car fixed and keep a little something on the side.
It's so much to unpack there. Like that's dope. First of all, what platform did you use? Did you use Turo? Or are you using which one are you using?
So I'm using HireCar. So Turo and HireCar, right? So HireCar is a gig worker platform. So when you go on there to rent a car, you going on there to rent the car because you want to work for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Uber Eats, stuff like that. But with Turo is more like a leisure. Like, yeah, you could people do rent cars long term on Turo, excuse me, but it's not pushed. That's not something that they put out there. So people don't normally do it. But on HireCar, that's exactly their motto. Like, we're renting to y'all so y'all can work and make money. So just imagine somebody you charging a person $50 a day, and they taking your car and they're riding, but they making money every day. You feel me? So every day they making money. So if they do this thing for a month, give you a month money chunked out right then and there, the next month, because they've been making money, they could chunk you out again. You know what I mean? So that's how kind of like it works with them.
And you building and you cash flowing through your vehicle as well.
Absolutely. That money coming in nonstop. But like I said, just think about it. I bought the vehicle for $3,400. That vehicle was bringing me in at least $1,000 a month, like $1,050 a month. So this person kept it for 5 months. They paid for that vehicle. Over. Like, I'm over. And then when they came back and I put the claim in and I got the checks, it's like they're paying me the market value of the car. But that's why I talk about building relationships. I built relationships with mechanics, with repair shops, all these people. I built relationships with them. So it's like I'm getting the best prices for them to fix and take care of my cars. And the other thing is I buy my own parts. So I buy my own parts. So I'm getting them at the lowest that they're going to go. And then I'm going to my mechanic, whoever fixing, I'm like, yo, what you going to charge me for your labor? That's the play. Like, I don't have to like go to you and be like, oh, fix this for me. And I don't know what the parts price is. Like, you could tell me a part costs $300, but it really costs $150. You upcharging me. But because I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, it's like, I know my numbers. I'm keeping my numbers low in order to, profit as much as I can and get out of it.
That's dope. Those are a lot of bars right there. Now, because man, I was having a conversation with my wife one time about now that I found out about HireCar, I'm at somebody to explore, because the only thing I ever heard of was Turo. Right. And so for the difference between the two, like you said, HireCar is more for folks who are using that vehicle to actually make money, but Turo is more for like you're touring, or it's more for convenience. You just want to get out and about, right? Yeah. So as far as getting on the platform, what is one of those platforms and one thing I always, my wife always wanted to ask about in regards to the insurance aspects. So again, you have somebody that did, cause an accident in your vehicle. Like, how does the insurance work out for that? Because I know that's like, I'm pretty sure you get that question asked like all the time.
Man, that's one of the main questions. I think that's one of the things that that keep people from like really getting in. You know what I mean? That's stopping them because of that insurance question. But the insurance, like, of course, where you live at, you're going to need to have to register and insure your car and have it insured, right? So you could use, like, when I first started, I had my personal insurance. So I just used my personal insurance like it was a car, putting it on my personal insurance and letting it go up. But what happens is, and that's only to like be able to register the car, right? To have my personal insurance on there. So what happens is once you get the car on the platform, you have to pay for an insurance on their platform. So before you load your car up, they're going to give you like tiers of insurance. So it's going to be like 3 tiers, like a 60%, a 65% plan, a 75% plan, 85% plan, like that. And it's going to tell you in all these plans, like what comes with having this plan versus that plan. But the thing is, with those plans, if you do like an 85% plan, that means that you get 85% of the money and they getting 15% of the money, right? And so on and so forth. So and then the deductibles too. So like you're gonna have a deductible depending on the plan that you use. Some plans you won't have a deductible, or you have a very low deductible. Some plans you're gonna have a $2,500 deductible, right? So for me, I use the lower plan because I got cash cars. I could fix the cars myself. Like if they decide they don't want to fix this, I could go somewhere, a relationship that I built, and get a little something, fix it up, throw it back out, right? But you're gonna pay that. Like that's the initial, like when you getting in. So once you get in, you want to do that. Then on the driver's side, on the side of the person that's trying to rent your vehicle, they going through the same process. When they come on and try to rent the vehicle, they going through that same process. So hire car is really getting their percentage on both ends. That's how they keep the platform going. That's how they keep their marketing and stuff like that. So if you pick the 15% plan and they pick the 15% plan, hire cars get 30% of the money, right? Total, right? But you get 85% on your side, right? I'll take that. I'll take 85%, right? But if something happened to the vehicle and it's on the platform, you go through hire car. Now I told you earlier that I put my personal insurance on that car, right? But when the situation happened to my car, I did not go to my personal insurance and talk to them about, hey, it's an accident. I went through hire car and let them know, like, hey, this is an accident. I need y'all to, X, Y, Z, take care of this. And they was like, all right, we're going to look into it. We're going to do this. And they take care of it. So I'm dealing with hire car. I'm not dealing with personal insurance. So your insurance, whether you're personal, commercial, whatever, you're never using them. Like the worst case scenario, you use them because if you got let's say a newer vehicle and you like, I need to get this fixed and I didn't do what I was supposed to do to make sure that I covered myself to get coverage, to make sure that I could get that claim done, then, you might want to use that insurance, but I never use my insurance. It's always through the platform.
That's great to know. Yeah, that is definitely great to know. So I'm pretty sure folks listening to this got to ease their fears a bit about the insurance. Just go through the
Man, that's the main question I get. Like you say that, but that's really like that's the biggest question because like you think about yourself driving your own car, and it's just like, bro, when I get in that time, don't call the police because I don't need my insurance to go up. That's the first thing you say. Like, how can we resolve this right here? You feel me? So you thinking about that, but like for me, it's like once it's on this platform, they taking care of all that. That's why I say, like, I tell my guests, like, hey, if anything happens, let me know. And that's another thing, like having that good customer service communication with your guests, because sometimes people will do stuff and won't even let you know. You get that car, but you're like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So they let me know immediately, like, yo, this was happening, that's what's happening, whatever, because they know they got these cars for a minute. Like, it's like basically their car at this point, but they just, financing it, if you will.
Thanks. I got a question right here from the podcast. She said, what would she recommend for someone using a Tesla that is insured under commercial insurance? Are you what is huh?
I said, so me personally, I wouldn't buy a Tesla. I wouldn't. Well, you would know that because I only buy $3,000 to $5,000 vehicle. I wouldn't personally buy a Tesla, but you can still put that vehicle on the platform.
Yeah.
Like all they want is that you have insurance. Like your car just need to be insured and registered. But once it's on the platform, you're using that insurance. So you can still put it on the platform. But what I would say about that too is like, if it's a vehicle that you can't stand to see somebody like messing up, or oh, I don't want this to happen and I don't want that to happen, and they scrape my rims and my car scraped up or whatever. If you can't stand that part of it, I wouldn't put that type of vehicle on the platform. Now it looks good when people post these cars on the platform and they're like newer high-end cars or whatever. But I always tell people, I'm like, think about yourself when you go to rent a vehicle from like Enterprise or Hertz or something like that. Like, you ain't taking care of that car. I know I'm not. Like, I don't take care of that car. Like, man, do what y'all want. Throw that stuff around. It don't matter. I don't care. I'm not like, matter of fact, I paid the extra up front for the insurance so that, if anything happened, I can just walk away from this joint. And then I also paid extra for the gas, just in case, because I know wherever I'm at, I'm pulling back up to the airport, gas on basically half a tanker E, and I ain't got time to go to the gas station. So I'm paying all this up front so that I won't be, accounted for that. So I would just say, like, when you think about that situation, like, you need to think like, yo, I know that people not gonna care for a vehicle like I'm gonna care for it. If I have it, I'm gonna care for it better because I know what it took to get this. But they don't care what it took to get that. All they need is a vehicle to get around. So it's like they're not gonna care for that vehicle like that. So if you feel like you can't like stand to put it up there because it costs too much, or because I know the Tesla costs like 40,000-50,000. You know what I mean? And it's like it's crazy. And like I personally wouldn't do that. And like the whole narrative of, oh, you can rent a vehicle. You could drive the car of your dreams and make money on it. I don't subscribe to that, because for me, I'm a car person. I love car. I love to drive cars, right? So for me, it's like my mom always told me, like, if you're driving a car, like if it's your car, you can't let everybody drive your car because everybody don't drive the same. Like, you might drive with both your feet, pedal, you might skirt, you might drive fast and hard. I want to be easy. So like when you get your car, it's never the same when you got mad people driving on your car and then you come back and be like, oh, I get to drive this too. Like, nah, it ain't the same. So I don't subscribe to that. If you want to do that, I would say use the money that you get in renting these cash cars and just go on Turo and find a car that you want to drive for a little bit and be like, yeah, I'm gonna just rent this for a week or whatever the case may be. But you ain't paying for it still. The people that's renting your cash cars is paying. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I got a homie of mine. She got a Tesla, and she said she had put it on Turo for a while, but after that, she's like she had to stop because her Tesla, that was her baby. So it's like, man, I'm over here stressing out, wondering how people driving my car and all that. I was like, no, that was just too much to deal with. So I just decided to just take it off and just put another car on there. And I can respect that because just the thing about it, you didn't work this hard to get the car of your dreams. Yeah, obviously you paying financing, you obviously want to get that principal paid down. Why would you put the car of your dreams on Turo, any of these platforms? Because again, you don't know how I'm supposed to be driving. For everybody that ain't gonna drive your car, like everybody ain't gonna drive like how you drive, whether if you save or you like to smash up and down the street or whatever the case may be. So why even put yourself through that type of stress, right? So I definitely appreciate you for sharing that. Now I want to touch on your business model, and I think your business model is super dope. Like, you buying your cars cash, you're not doing the what most folks, like I've seen people where they'll finance 10, 15 vehicles, right? Like, they super leveraged, right? And to me, it's like obviously you want to have newer vehicles that's going to operate at peak level, right? But like I said, what if the market takes a downturn? Then folks they go back to Hertz or go back to Enterprise, right? You got all these vehicles that you done took financing out on. And it's like, at the end of the day, regardless if folks is driving or not, you still got to make that note, right? But on your end, the car is already paid for. So like you said, even if the market goes bad, right? Nobody chooses to drive your car, you still good. You still ain't got no note to pay, and you all profit at the end of the day. So talk about what made you shift your business strategy to focusing on going debt free as opposed to just financing the vehicles.
Like kind of like what I said in the beginning, like I just didn't see myself putting debt on a vehicle, because I believe this to be true, is that cars, even though we found a way to make money from them, we found a way to put them somewhere so we can make some money from them, it's still a liability, right? It's still a liability. So I always took that with me, because like I've had a lot of cars in my life. Like I've turned over a lot of cars in my life. So it's just like, bro, I had accidents, you know what I mean? Stuff was just happening. So it was just like, I knew that I didn't want to go that route. And then not only that, like I always bought like cars that were like cashed out, or like low, like, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, I didn't want to do it that way, because it was just like, if I get into this, like you said, this heavy debt on this side, I'm still servicing the debt, whether, you know what I mean, whether this I'm good or not, I'm still servicing this debt. So I have not gotten freedom, you know what I mean? And that's always my goal. My goal has always been, how can I get free from all this, you know, miscellaneous debt that I really don't need? And then how could I get free to where it's like, I could just get up and get on a flight today if I want to, because I don't have to be like, oh, I gotta work, or I gotta do this real quick to make some money so I can, you know, be all right. So that was my model in that, because it was just like, you know, again, and I'm gonna just say this too. I always talk about all the sides of the business, like not just, oh, get debt free, whatever. I also like look at the headlines and look what the big box stores are doing, like Hertz and them like that, right? So during the pandemic, Hertz had took a downturn, they went bankrupt, right? And everybody thought, like at that time, like Turo, like they was booming, like these you know, car sharing platforms is booming, because it was like, oh, they doing downturn, whatever. But I spoke on it. I said, yo, you got to watch what they doing, because like, yeah, they can do bankruptcy, but that's what businesses do. Like businesses do, they put bankruptcy in, you know, 4, 5, 10 times, you know what I mean? But they always reinvent themselves and come on back, right? So right after that, probably like, you know what I mean, some months later, they released that they had bought like 100,000 Teslas, Model 3s, I think it was. And at this time, like I said, Turo was booming and everybody was buying Teslas, because it was just like, that was the car that was going for $250 to $300 a day, no questions, right? Everybody wanted to drive a Tesla. But once Hertz got it, and I was looking, I'm like, bro, like look at this. And I looked at the schematics of it and the math, and it was just like, in this area where Hertz got these Teslas and they done already dropped them in the airport space to be like, y'all can rent these now. They have them in there for $100 a day, right? $100 a day Hertz could get for their vehicle, for their same Tesla Model 3 that you have on the platform in that same area for $250 to $300 a day, right? But when you think about that, it's like, Hertz could go down to $100 on those Teslas, because it means nothing to them, because they bought hundreds of thousands of them, you know what I mean? Like basically cashed out on them, you feel me? Like what I do. But it hurts you because you only got one of those vehicles, and you need $250 to $300 a day. But at the same time, the lowest you could go is $200 or $250. You cannot go no lower than that. If you go lower than that, you can't move this vehicle. In order to turn this vehicle on, it has to be making $250 a day in order to make those payments, insurance, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. And it's like, that kind of, you know, it kind of put a monkey wrench into like most people's plans, because it was just like, yo, we buying these cars too, but like Hertz done did this, and now they basically got the same cars we got, because for a bit, like nobody had those cars but personal people, like, you know, you and me, we could buy a Tesla real quick and jump out there. The other thing I say is the recalls, right? So they like, it's a lot of recalls going on these cars. So the most recalls you're gonna get is like the newer vehicles. You know what I mean? Some older vehicles, but mostly newer vehicles. The thing with the recalls is that when you have a recall on your vehicle, Turo and these platforms, the car share platform, they're gonna delist your car. Like no questions asked. Like, oh, we see that you got a recall. We see that this car got a recall, delisted. They sending a message to the person that's driving. They might be driving in the middle of a little, you know what I mean, situation. And they sending a message to them like, return this vehicle, go get another vehicle, or do whatever you need to do. Now you done messed up their experience with you because, you know what I mean, the situation with a recall. And it's like, that's kind of crazy to me. So I'm just like, nah, it was too many variables that made it like not worth it, if you will. You know what I mean? On my end. Let's just say that.
That's dope, man. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Hertz was on the brink of going bankrupt.
Yeah,
They was recovering all those vehicles, man. That's crazy.
yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah,
They
like I said,
actually did though. They actually did file for bankruptcy, but they got, you know, I mean, you know, they always have money. Once you file for bankruptcy, you can use, you know, investors' money or whatever the case can be, and they jump right back into it. They never really, they just pivoted. You know what I mean? They
yeah,
saw, because guess what they did? They saw what was selling. Like the, you know what I mean? The regular cars are still selling, but they understood that people was going towards the EV market too. So it's like, if people go on the EV market, we got to figure out how to get in that market too. So what they did, we going to the people that sell the EV vehicles, the best ones, and we gonna get them on our platform, and that's what they did.
and it left all those folks who bought those new cars high and dry,
Yeah, man.
stuck with the note.
Man, I say that all the time. I'm like, yo, people, it's a lot of people out here trying to figure out how to JV and how to drive, like have these vehicles and have their own situation, like not be on a platform because they like, oh, Turo take too much money, or HireCar take too much money, or these platforms they taking too much money. So I need to get off of this platform and go try to do my own thing and have my own fleet. And that's cool, that's good. But I noticed that a lot of the people that are saying this and are transitioning to that are the people that are not getting what, you know, what they wanted to get on the platform, because now it's like it's a lot of people on there giving you the same type of vehicle. So now if you want to get a Tesla, excuse me, you want to rent a Tesla on Turo, it's like you got to do something different with your Tesla. You need to bring them an experience with this Tesla. It ain't just gonna be like, yo, what's up? Like, oh, this is just a white Tesla, or this just a black Tesla. Like, no, you got rims on it, you got it wrapped, you got, you know what I mean? Are you setting it up with an Airbnb? Like, what does it look like? Like, what's the experience behind it? Because now it's like I could fly into Cali and get the same Tesla for $100, for $200 less than yours. The basic joint. So it's just like now you got to give them an experience, but you know what I mean? Now you locked into a $50,000 debt. You got to drive your car now.
And that's what most folks don't take into account. Like they just think everything is a money play, right? But like you said, if we all got the same vehicles on there, at the end of the day, someone got to do something to provide that better experience. Someone's got to be able to stand out, right? So if you're not standing out, you taking a loss at the end
Absolutely.
of the day.
Absolutely.
Right? So that goes to show you, like I said, you just can't be going into everything just with the intentions of just making money. Yes, we all want to make money at the end of the day, but it has to be much deeper than that. You got to be able to, again, provide that experience. There got to be a reason why you're getting into this, and you got to be able to be business minded. And I think a lot of folks are just not they're not savvy in business. They just think, okay, I'm gonna just get on and expect everything to work, and it typically doesn't work like that.
Now you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to maneuver and make things happen. Like I maneuver every day. I pivot every day in the situation. I'm always watching what, you know what I mean? And a lot of people then like, I'm not watching what the people that do it with me are doing. I'm watching the big box stores, what they doing, how it looks for them. Like, you know what I mean? I'm looking at that. And it's just like, you know, you have to be able to, you know, pivot around this situation and make sure that you can get through this recession or whatever we go through. You can get through it. Like, you know what I mean? No matter what.
Thanks. I want to touch on your content as of late, because I know Charles been pushing you. We've all been pushing to get more of that content out, and just like so, you've been delivering, right? Like your content has been so dope because one, you're a fixture in the space. Like you understand what's going on within your industry, and you're able to give folks real value if they haven't, you know, thoughts on if they want to get into the industry or not, right? So just talk about your progression of where you were at previously on your social media and to where now you're much more consistent with your content and putting out those gems that's relatable for folks.
Man, I would say it's like you said, like Charles, you know what I mean, y'all, like in the mastermind, like Henry, like everybody in the mastermind that just kind of push me, and we push each other basically to do this every day. You know what I mean? Getting on these calls every morning and like getting fired up, and us knowing that like these are non-negotiables. It's like you gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? Just like I say, I'm pivoting and I'm figuring it out, figuring out the car rental space and everything like that. I'm figuring out this content space too, because it's a real thing. But at the same time, it's like, you know, like I said, like sometimes you get a little nervous being, you know, on in front of the camera and doing this and doing that. But it's like when we on them calls, it just be like, yo, people need what you got. They need to know, you know, what you know. Cause like just like kind of like what you just said, about, you know, you didn't really know about hire a car because people don't really speak on it, because Turo is the hot thing right now, and I get it, and that's cool, you know, but is not the only platform, right? And if you really look at it, you can actually get more money on the other platform if you do it the way that I do it. But the content is just like, man, I be nervous. I be going through my head. Sometimes like I go over and over and over again, like doing stuff over and over again, like, but then I hear Bruce in my head, like, one take, you got to put it out. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So it's just like, you know, that positive reinforcement to continue to put out content, to continue to, you know, basically just give the people value. That's it. Like, that's all we doing. We just giving the people value. We just telling people our process, what we went through, what we going through, ups, downs, good, bad, and ugly. I'm gonna tell you, you know what I mean? Like, I just got another vehicle. Well, I got a vehicle, my last vehicle I just bought in the end of April, right? And my mechanic actually just came over today to like let me like show me the car. We drove it, you know, test drove it wherever, because he fixed some stuff for me. And he got like he gonna do the oil change and the wheel alignment, because he fixed the front or whatever. And balancing, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, just imagine if I would have had a car payment on that vehicle. I wouldn't have been able to go through this process the way I like, because I have a process that I've run through every time. Anytime I buy a car, it's this how I go. This how I go. Like this, right? If this ain't done, I can't go here yet. You feel me? So going through that process, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's not, right? But just not having that, like that car payment is like, I'm cool. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you need another day or two. All right, cool. But like that's it. But like the content, man, it's just me telling people what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, being funny with it, trying to make it funny so people will be like, oh, that's funny, but you know what I mean, I get what she's saying, type deal. So that's kind of where it's at, really.
That's dope. Yeah, I be loving the content. I'm tapped in all the way. So for someone else that's, you know, listen to this conversation, Ryan, I'm pretty sure they want to hear, they may be in conversations actually getting their first vehicle, and they want to put this on hire car, right? In that stage of purchasing your car, what would you say, what's some criteria that a person should follow before making that decision to buy that car and then put it on hire car?
So what I would say, first and foremost, do your market research, right? So that's key. You need to do market research. Now, I know I talk about like, oh, you know what I mean, people over in the car, this and third, but like, if you want to make sure that your vehicle is out and is good and is running, you know what I mean, you want to research your market and see where you at. So like for me, the research that I did was like, I know that I live in a small city. I don't live in a big city. I don't live in a California or Houston where people coming in, or Atlanta, and they coming in and, you know what I mean, do big things. So I don't live in a place where I need a Tesla. I don't live in a place where I need, you know, a high-end vehicle, but I know where I live at, it's a lot of people driving to try to make money to do gig work or whatever. So now I need to just find out like, hey, in my market research, what's the most reliable vehicle that, you know what I mean, I could get to put on this platform, and it's not like it's economic, like it's economy car. You know what I mean? I can still take care of it if things go wrong with it. I still have the, you know what I mean, the funds are good enough, like the money that's coming in is good enough to take care of something on this vehicle, maybe tires, you know, maybe brakes, whatever. It's not like killing me to pay for these things. Tires ain't $300 a piece. Like, you know what I mean? Tires, I can get tires $50 a piece, $100 a piece, if that's it. So you definitely want to do that research, that market research, to find out what type of vehicle is a good vehicle to put out there, right? The other thing is, when you do go to get the vehicle, there are some things that, because with hire car, the difference between hire car and Turo, because they do work with gig workers, it has to be inspected. So the vehicle has to be inspected. So you do have to go through an inspection process before you put the car on the platform, right? So through this inspection process, I go through this with my mentees or whatever. With the inspection process, there's certain things that you need to have on this car. The number one thing is it can't be a two-door car. So most people be like, oh, it's a two-door car, it's super cheap, let me get it. But then you get it and it's like, oh, they don't take two-door cars on this platform, so I can't put it up here. So it's just like, you know, those things like that. What else? Just, you know what I mean, just knowing that whatever you get, and I'll say this, whatever you decide to get, you can take care of it yourself without somebody else doing it for you, right? Because a lot of times, you know, the narrative is, you know, get this vehicle and somebody that's renting the vehicle is going to pay your car note and they're going to pay your insurance. But what happens when they can't, when that vehicle is not being rented out as much as it need to be in order for those payments to come in for you? Now you have to make those payments, right? You know what I mean? What if you have a slow time? You have to make those payments. So it doesn't always, I say this, like, if you have a situation where maybe the car is renting out, but you only get half the money and not all of the money, it's like, you know, do you have enough money to pay the rest of it? Or were you just banking on these people paying this car? No, you get what I'm saying? So there's just, it's not like, to me, like, it's not rocket science. I understand that. But you know, it's something that you gotta like work at. It's something that you gotta learn. I'm learning every day. Every day that I get a new, you know, new situation, or I buy a new vehicle, or I'm doing something new, I'm learning every day. You know what I mean? So I don't say I know everything, because I don't. I'm learning just like everybody else learning. You know what I mean? I actually, you know, because I had some time, I actually got on a gig platform myself and started driving and seeing what my, you know what I mean, what my drivers deal with. You feel me? On the other side of it, right? Because at the end of the day, we know gas prices hiked up crazy, right? So during that time, I'm driving for this platform, and I'm looking at myself like, yo, I gotta bring my prices down because the gas is high, right? That's what I'm thinking to myself. And before I did that, I'm driving for this platform, and I started getting like extra money. Like, they was just giving me extra. I'm like, what is this for? So when they sending out emails, they like, yo, we giving you an extra this much or that much for this week because you drove this much, and that's going to equivalent to you being able to pay for gas and things like that. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, I need to help my renters and like bring my prices down. But really and truthfully, they good. They good. Like, if they really drive, like, because I don't even do it all the time. I only do it sparingly, and I make good money. So it's just like, bro, if this what you do all the time, you can pay $50 a day. You got it. You feel me?
That's dope, man. That's dope. Before we wrap up, I always gotta ask this question: where do you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years?
Man, in the next 5 to 10 years, I see my business as me having, if I'm still doing rental cars, right? Because that's like, I just look at it like rental cars is like a play that we take to get, you know what I mean, to get some money to put in something else. Like, because real estate was always my thing. So if I'm getting this money and I'm stacking it away, I could buy more real estate, right? But 5 to 10 years, if I'm still in real estate, I see myself having like a full team. Like, they doing everything for me. I'm really completely hands off. Like right now, I'm halfway hands off because I got processes in place to give me hands off of the situation. But I still gotta, you know, get my cars up and running. I still gotta be the one to go find the cars and, you know, go talk to the people and negotiate and, you know, do all that and get the cars fixed, buy the parts. You know, I still gotta get all those processes done to the end, to where it's like, okay, it's on the platform, and now I'm not dealing with it. Now it's a passive situation. Because I got things in place. But I see, if I'm still in this business, I see it as me not having like my hands in it at all. Like, kind of like an enterprise situation. Like, I got a little brick and mortar situation or not. Maybe I got a little just a little parking lot that I own, and I got my car sitting on there, and I just got somebody that take care of that situation, take care of all the situations for me. Like, that's all.
So being hands off, that's the dream, man. Being passed off in the business, pretty much just eliminating yourself in the business, but it's still cash flowing and you're still able to monetize at the end of the day. That's a sweet spot for me. Plug all your stuff in, because I know you got courses. I didn't even get a chance to talk about that. Talk about the course before you drop out, before you leave out. Where can they find you? All of that.
So if y'all want to reach me, the best place to reach me is on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Network with Brandi. That's Network with Brandi, and my name is spelled Brandi. And I do have free resources too. So I got free resources. I got a 5-step guide. So I say in this guide, this is just the steps that 5 steps that I took to get started in my rental car process. That if you are a self-motivated person and you feel like you don't really need anybody else, this is the guide that you can use to get started. And then like you can figure everything out in the inside once you get in, you feel me? But if you need that extra help, I got a course, my debt-free rental course, where I go through the whole process, the 5 steps plus the whole process. I take you through the whole process of purchasing all the way to putting it on the platform, insurance, everything. I take you through all that in my course. But I did just drop a car rental accelerator program, because I noticed that it's a lot of people that take my course, but they take it and then it's like kind of like, I still want to do it, but I still got some questions. I still don't have the confidence to do it and to really get out there and do it myself. So the accelerator program is for that person that, you know, maybe you bought my course, maybe you haven't, but you know what I mean, you want to do this, but you just don't have that confidence, and you need somebody to like look over your shoulder on the type of car that I'm buying. I need somebody to look over my shoulder on if I'm talking to the right people, what resources I need, all that stuff. That's my 4-week intensive. Like I'm just gonna be intense, 4 weeks of intense, you know, drilling in on them to let them know like, yo, we gonna get you to the end, because that's my goal, is to get them to where I'm at and having that first car on the platform and seeing that it's possible. Because like I didn't really believe it was possible until I saw that first month money come in and it was just like, bro, I need more cars. And that was just like, it just ran up from there. So just getting that light bulb up there for a person and letting them know like, yo, you could kind of start where you are. You don't really need all the things that you think you need, and just giving them that, like being over their shoulder, looking over their shoulder, helping them out, and you know, just being intense about it. And it's just accelerated though. Like it's only 4 weeks. We starting on June 8th. So June 8th, we're gonna start, and for that whole month, we're gonna go intense. And then by the end of that month, I'm wanting my students to have, you know, their vehicles, everything like that. I'm only opening up 10 slots because I just want it to be very like intimate. I want to be able to be effective with my coaching and make sure that they are getting what they need to get from me. So by the time we done and you have that car, you ready for the summer. So summer money is the best money, right? So I just like, you got the summer money, that July, that 4th of July, that, you know what I mean, all that. So you got your car, you put it up, 4th of July hit, you get your money. But what you know, invest in yourself to get into my accelerator program, you're gonna get that back in the summertime. Now that month or two, all that money coming back to you if you do it the way I'm showing you how to do it. So yeah, that's the 4-week intensive. It's an intensive. Like I said, it's for the person that really want to do this, because I'm gonna push you past your fears. I'm gonna push you to get your car, get it on a platform. I ain't taking no excuses. We doing this, man, because I know it can be done. You know what I mean? And with the right coach, you might stumble, but you ain't gonna fall. And that's how I said, like, you gonna stumble, but you ain't gonna fall. I ain't gonna let you fall.
Or else you can try to do it by yourself and deal with the heartache.
Absolutely. Because I had to deal with a lot of heartache, man. Because this, like, what I'm doing, wasn't nobody doing this. Ain't nobody doing this. So it's just like to take somebody through the whole process, like one-on-one, hold your hand, 4 weeks of like me and you, we just doing this every week. We come into the table and we moving towards you getting your car, getting it prepared, getting it up on the platform, going through the whole process. This, like, you have no choice but to make it work. It's gonna have to work.
So make your next choice your best choice.
Absolutely.
Right? Brandi, I appreciate you for blessing the Stamper podcast. A whole lot of gems, a whole lot of wisdom. They're gonna take a lot from this. This is definitely gonna go viral. I'm gonna put it out into the universe. This is gonna go viral because yeah, you dropped a lot of gems, and that's what the folks need, right? So if they ain't tapped in, I don't know what they're doing, y'all. But other than that, again, thank you. I appreciate you for tapping in. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the Stamper podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe here on YouTube as well. Give me a 5-star rating too if you can, y'all. We give you so much. All we doing is ask you just to give us a 5-star rating. That's all. Other than that, till next time, y'all. Peace.
Thanks, Stamp. Big Stamp.